you've done episode 1 and 2. What was your first reaction to all of the wonderful things that you get to do in episode 3?
Well, George told me all those years ago that this character called Darth Sidious would eventually come into his own. But when I was approached to do the part originally, he said, there are these 2 parts. There's a senator, which I'd like you to play, and there's this other guy, Darth Sidious. And I didn't know that that was me until I got the script for Phantom Menace. So I realized early on that I was going to be living in 3 different universes, 3D in fact. Darth Sidious, Palpatine, and me. But in Revenge of the Sith, I knew they were all going to come together in some fashion, but I didn't know I had quite so much to do. And as you probably know, in the Star Wars world, you don't get your scripts too far in advance. So I arrived in Australia, and I think about 3 weeks before filming was due to begin, I realized I wasn't just the most evil creature in the universe, I was also Action Man. So I had to get my saber skills up to scratch very quick, with the help of some stunt doubling too. And the help of some stuff that I dare say Dennis managed to do to me, to make me more convincing than I might otherwise have been.
Well, and you're going to be in Hyper 3D. Now, Dennis Muren, for those of you that may not know, Dennis, you did this 3D conversion that we're going to see for the very first time tonight.
I sort of grew up in the era of real 3D in the 60s and all, or 50s, but never thought much of it. But I got kind of interested in it, and then the opportunity came up to sort of try something more extreme after Phantom Menace. And so I asked if I could do the next 2, and George said, sure.
How many of you saw episode 2 last night? Because you did episode 2 as well. What'd you think?
I'm glad people can see the difference, because I'm never quite sure, but I call it sort of like extreme 3D or extreme depthy 3D or something. Stuff, instead of being played on the screen plane, is actually out in the theater. And stuff gets closer, and stuff gets deeper, and it just gives you a much better world, bigger world to play in. And you can actually direct a scene by where you choose to have the audience look with depth, and I never even knew how to do this. And once I found this out, I said, my gosh, this is a tool, just like lighting is, or lens choices, to direct the audience to see certain things. So that helps the storytelling. You'll see it especially in the opening big dogfight in there. I think it's clearer what's going on in it, with choices being made all the time. This is not the technology thing. Technology's been around to do this. It literally is me and people making choices, saying, this is what's important. This is not important, put that farther back, bring this closer up, and deciding to do the shot. And we worked with Prime Focus on this, did a really super job on the conversion. And then I did some great things on faces too. On Hayden, at times when he's really evil at the end, you see him sort of in the hood, you'll notice his eyes are too far back in his skull. And, and earlier, I'm pushing his chin back, and sometimes Natalie, based on lens choice, I can pull her cheeks farther back again, just to make her look sexier. And it's amazing.
That is possible.
And I'm doing some stuff at the end too.
Did you make me look sexier?
It's pretty remarkable what you can do, and it's subtle, but it's there, and you see it and you feel it. That's what's fascinating. So anyway, this is the premiere of it. So that's the same depthy stuff as in episode 2.
Fantastic. Are you guys excited to see this? How about you guys?
I'm interested to see what depth of field does. I suppose my electric lightning is going to get out there amongst you, where it's always belonged.
Well, I'm just so glad you're here. We're all very, very excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us for this world premiere of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in 3D, brought to you by SWIII and Barco. You guys want to see this movie or what? Well, before we start, please give a round of applause to Emperor Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid, and Visual Effects Supervisor Dennis Muren. Before we start the show, leave your 3D glasses off for just a bit, because we're going to give you a treat that you've already seen. You might be a little familiar with this trailer. And this will be your first time seeing it, is that right?
It is. Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, well, let's roll this trailer for a new movie you might have heard of. And then on with the show. Have a good night.
Oh yeah.